Hello, guys. I wanted to bring you guys a team builder analysis as well as a game recap. Um, this week, the previous weeks, I haven't gone into too much depth on how I've team built and the team that I've brought. Um, and given that this league is all about learning and improving, um, and learning from other people is super important, I thought it would be worth it to spend some time and do some team analysis, team building, in addition to the game recap. Um, so first of all, my voice is kind of eh at the moment because I was sick like all last week. Um, so I'm sorry about that, but I really wanted to do this video just to help people out who um, are struggling, whether that be just the record this season or in general, or they just don't know where to start or anything like that. So I've already had this match, but I'm going to take you through my thought process when I was building for it. So we are playing Brovile and Squirtle Squad, and looking at his team, um, it's very offensive. Mega Scizor, Gengar, Koko, Alolan Raichu, Xurkitree. That's a lot of offensive power. Uh, in addition, he has this electric core of Tapu Koko, Alolan Raichu, and Xurkitree, which can put on a tremendous amount of pressure if he wants to bring all of them. So right away, that's what sticks out. He has a lot of powerful offense. And looking at his defense, it mostly consists of Hippowdon, Gastrodon, Incineroar, and maybe Scizor if he makes it a bulkier one. Lurantis is sort of bulky, but not really. So, yeah, again, he just has a very offensive team. So I just need to figure out a way of how I can switch into all of this stuff, particularly all of his powerful electric types. So looking at my team, we have Crooks, Celesteela, Toxapex, Megaladios, Sylveon, Dalmise, not Shaman. Shaman was added for week 10. Ditto, Pyroar, Raichu, Girder, Pinsir, Shinx. So the biggest threat to my team is Tapu Koko. It can do a lot of work by itself, but it also makes Raichu a lot scarier to deal with, and Xurkitree in electric terrain hits like an absolute truck. So I need to find a way to deal with Tapu Koko. And looking at my team, it is very, very Koko weak. U-turn or Dazzling Gleam for Crook, Electric for Celesteela and Toxapex, U-turning Dazzling Gleam for Latios. I can run physical moves for Sylveon, Brave Bird for Dalmise and Pinsir, Dazzling Gleam and Brave Bird for Girder. Pretty much any coverage move, especially if it's physical for Raichu. Pyroar can't take any hits well, and Ditto isn't naturally that bulky if I turn into Tapu Koko, just because its base HP isn't very high, even when it's invested. So we have a conundrum right away, and that conundrum is, how do we deal with Tapu Koko? So if we're going into that, go to the team builder, and the first thing I had to build was some sort of check. I don't have anything that's like a great counter to it, something that switches in with ease and can swallow up hits. But this is the best thing that I have. I'm anticipating a more physically offensive Koko, just because if I brought Sylveon, Koko beats it a lot easier if it's physical, with like Wild Charge or Thunder Punch. So I built a more physically defensive one. This bulk investment allows me to guaranteed live a banded brave bird from Adamant Coco, and he can run Adamant because the fastest thing on my team is base 110, and he can run Adamant and still outspeed. So that just makes Coco even scarier. But this is my switch in. We have Rocky Helmet basically because I just can't let him spam U-turn with no penalty over and over again. Between U-turn and an electric move, he can hit 4 out of my 6 members super effectively. And so I have to at least punish him for clicking U-turn. If he has Volt Switch instead, I at least make him think twice because I could switch into Crocodile, or even Ditto can take a hit or two because electric resists itself. So the rest is in special defense, just in case he is special Coco, because he totally could be. I'm leaning more physical, but I have to be somewhat prepared for special as well. The moves, I was really only considering Shadow Claw, which I didn't really need. Earthquake hits a Lone Raichu, and Grass is really good against his team in general. He has so many electric types that Earthquake does a lot of work. I also considered HP Fire for Scizor. Dhelmise actually has decent special attack, and I could have just moved this from minus special attack to minus speed, but it just didn't really seem necessary given the bulk I have in Toxapex and Celesteela. So we didn't go with that route. We just have Synthesis to heal, Rapid Spin because rocks I would prefer to not have to deal with them. And I don't really need any other move. And Power Whip for his bulky ground types, and Earthquake for his electric types. So, again, looking at my team, it's still very weak to Coco, even with this check. So I need other ways to check it, but I don't have any switch-ins. So I need to check it offensively, and I decided to do that with Choice Scarf Crocodile and Choice Scarf Ditto. So Crocodile is running Knockoff Earthquake, Pursuit, Stealth Rock. First two are self-explanatory. Pursuit is for Gengar. I can kill him if he decides to switch out. And even if he stays in, I can do a lot of damage to him. And Stealth Rock is nice to help chip down Coco if I want to go that route. And if the game becomes a more defensive game because he brings stuff like Incineroar or Gastrodon, that kind of stuff, Stealth Rock is just nice to have. We have enough speed to outspeed Xurkitree at +1, whether that's because he's Choice Scarf or like Z-Rain Dance or something. Actually, no, he doesn't have a Z move on Xurkitree, so I guess it's just Scarf. But yeah, max attack and the rest in HP. Pretty straightforward stuff. Scarf Moxie, late game I can just spam Earthquake, and if Hippowdon or Gastrodon, his bulkier stuff is weakened, then Crook just wins, unless he's like Scarf Gengar and he clicks Focus Blast or something. But even then he has to hit it, and Focus Blast like always misses. So then we have Ditto. The EVs don't really matter on Ditto other than HP. The defensive EVs only make a difference if, for whatever reason, Ditto, like its Imposter didn't activate. Transform is the only move it learns. But Ditto is here to help revenge kill Coco and also revenge kill Xurkitree, because if he sets up like a Tail Glow or something, there is absolutely nothing on my team that can take a hit. So I have to punish him by copying his stat boosts with Imposter, and then I can just blow him away with his own setup. So that's mainly how I'm dealing with his electric type threats, specifically Coco. And at this point, I need a switch into Scizor. I'm not entirely sure if Scizor is going to come. Like, if you look at my team, it can't do much to Celesteela, and it can't do much to Toxapex. I think he'll bring it, but I'm not entirely sure. Just because these two do such a good job of handling it, that he might want something else. He might want more electric power, just to try to hit these as hard as he possibly can. So we're bringing Toxapex this week. Enough HP and defense so that Adamant, Max Attack, Scizor, even at +2, cannot 2-hit KOS with the best move it has to hit us, which is Night Slash. So we resist these dual stabs, and that's super nice. The rest in special defense, because I didn't really need it in defense, and special defense actually allows us to live hits from like a Alolan Raichu, which is pretty crazy because we're weak to both of his stabs, but we can live a hit from full. And if we're able to get like a surprise live into important damage, that could be really clutch. Running Rocky Helmet just to punish Scizor for U-turning. If he's allowed to pivot around my team and get into powerful wall breakers, he's going to break my team down sooner or later. So I need a way to punish that. And this also forces him to click Roost if he has it. So at this point, I need to apply some offense that isn't like reacting to his offense. Like right now, I'm really playing his game with reacting to all of his powerful offense, but I need a way to pressure the weakness of his team, which is his bulk. So if you look at his bulk, he has Hippowdon, which I expect 100%, Gastrodon, Incineroar, and Mega Scizor. So I decided on a Mega Latios set that can break through all of those. So we're running Psychic. It's the hardest hitting Psychic move I have. I considered running Luster Purge, which is actually a really cool move. There's a 50% chance to lower the Spadef by 1 stage, which means it's extremely difficult for stuff to take a hit. But overall, the power of Psychic is just too valuable. Come back to the Draco. Grass Knot can almost one-hit KO Hippo, and it kills Gastrodon in 1 hit. Hidden Power Fire is really just for Scizor. I need a little bit of chip damage in order to kill him from full. So even if that's like him switching in on a Power Whip or heck, even a Rapid Spin, or taking Rocky Helmet Chip or any of those things, then I can kill him from full. He can hurt me with Bullet Punch, but I can kill him in return with HP Fire. In the last move, I was considering Earthquake, and then I would just move this minus attack to minus defense, and I could toss these 4 Spadef EVs in here, because that allows me to do a ton of damage to Circuitry and Alolan Raichu, and it also lets me hit Assault Vest and Incineroar well, but I decided against it, mainly because Draco Meteor kills Circuitry from full, and Earthquake doesn't, and that's not something that I really want to mess around with. I'd rather just be able to kill it from full, And it's not like Incineroar wants to take a Draco anyway. Um, so yeah, I decided for Draco. It's unfortunate for wall breaking because I get the special attack drop, which means that I can't one-hit KO a lot of his stuff anymore, or really any of his stuff. Um, but I need the immediate power as another backup to Circuitry. Earthquake would have been okay, but I just prefer the immediate power of Draco. Um, so for the last slot, I wanted some more bulk, because really right now my only bulk is Delmise, which is going to get worn down quickly, Toxapex, which isn't, I don't want it to take electric hits. So I decided on Assault Vest Celesteela, because this allows me to be bulky while also allowing me to threaten his walls. So running max special defense, and the reason we're running 252 in special defense and not HP, because that's usually what you see with Assault Vest, is because this actually maximizes my special bulk at the cost of, if I put these in HP, I'd have more defense, but I don't really plan on leaving this in on any of his physical attackers. Like, I already switch into Hippo easily, switch into Lurantis. I don't want to take a hit from Incineroar. Like, I don't really need the defense, so I just went fully split F. This gives me a good switch into Gengar, which is mainly what it's here for. This special attack investment allows me to guaranteed kill max HP Mega Scizor with Flamethrower, even from full. And the attack with Earthquake allows me to guaranteed kill Gengar after a Life Orb hit or Stealth Rock switch in, or even like Rocky Helmet if he's physical for whatever reason. Or even sand damage. Like, there are a lot of ways you can take residual damage on Gengar, and I can guarantee kill him with Earthquake. And the grass coverage, I didn't need Stab. Like, with all the electric types he has, flying isn't any good, and they also resist Steel. Like, I would only need Steel for Wigglytuff, and I'm not going to prepare for Wigglytuff because it's not that good. So I decided to go with Grass Knot, which is a base 120 power move on Hippowdon because it's so heavy, and on Gastrodon, I don't know what its base power is, but it doesn't matter because it's quad weak. And Giga Drain is really nice because I can do so much damage with Giga Drain on his bulky ground types, and I can recover a ton of HP, which could be super clutch. This special attack investment also allows me to guaranteed 2-hit KO a more specially defensive Hippowdon with Grass Knot. So that's really nice. So going into the game, I'm mainly expecting Mega Scizor, Gengar, Koko, Hippowdon for some bulk, Alolan Raichu or Xurkitree, and then like Gastrodon or Incineroar. So going over to the battle, he more or less brings what I expected him to bring. We don't see a Xurkitree, which is very nice. It means my Crocodile and my Ditto are not as important, because Ditto is much less important because it doesn't have any stat boosts to copy, but it does allow me to outspeed Alolan Raichu, which is like one of the only things that can outspeed Alolan Raichu in the entire game, because I copy his Surge Surfer ability, and I'm Choice Scarf, so I am extremely fast. But looking at his team, his bulk really just consists of Hippowdon plus Gastrodon, both of which are very weak to my grass moves on Latios and Celesteela. So if I'm able to get those in mid to late game, I'm going to be able to break through his team, and that's really going to help out. So I decide to lead with my Dhelmise. I'm thinking the lead is either Scizor, Hippo, or Koko, and I do okay against all of those. Here I'm just going to go for a Power Whip. I don't want to over-predict, and getting damage on this would be great for Crook. So I'm just going to go for Power Whip, and Dhelmise misses because it's a scrub, which is why it's no longer on the team for week 10. Dhelmise attempted one Power Whip this season, and it missed. So, yeah, that's great. So I'm going to Rapid Spin here, expecting Scizor. Rapid Spin does about as much as Power Whip does to Scizor because it quad resists. And I might as well get rid of the rocks. Here, I'm fine with him being in on Koko. So I'm just going to Earthquake him and try and weaken this thing. And he turns out to be Special Koko, which I didn't prep as much for, so that's scary. But at the end of this turn, he's at 1%. So Dhelmise has done its job. I'm just going to sack it off here. And I basically just traded Dhelmise for Koko, and I will happily make that trade. And so after he dies to sand, we actually have a very interesting situation here. On a double down, meaning both of our mons died at the same time, which doesn't happen often because one of them would have to die to like recoil or sand or something like that. But it's so interesting because we each have 5 options that we can go into that has to do the best it can to cover the other 5 options that the opponent has. So I'm looking at his team, and he only has 2 more turns of electric terrain, so I'm expecting him to want to go into Raichu, because otherwise he's not going to be able to use the terrain at all. And I think he would probably want to do that. Plus, if he has Volt Switch, he could just Volt Switch out. There isn't really anything else I want to go into, so I'm going into Latios. My play is really just a Draco Meteor. It's the only thing I have that kills this thing from full. And he goes for Fake Out, which is okay. And I'm just going to click Draco again here. If I'm able to get rid of this thing, that would be really great. And I am able to one-hit KO it with Draco, which is really great. So I do unfortunately get the special attack drop, but that's okay. It's not ideal because if I didn't have it, I could just stay in on anything he had. I might even be able to take a hit from Gengar and risk a potential speed tie and just kill him with Psychic. So, but it would be nice to not have the drop, because then I could one-hit KO Gastrodon, maybe Scizor, and do even more to Hippo. But, so I have to switch out here as it goes into Hippo, and I'm looking at my options, and it's at this point that I realize, like, Celesteela kind of just wins. like, his team outside of the electric mons he brought is pretty weak to Celesteela. With fire, ground, and grass coverage, I can run through the rest of his team. So I'm going right into Celesteela, and he gets up his rocks, which is fine. And here I have no reason not to click Grass Knot. If he wants to go Gengar or Scizor, that can net me the necessary chip damage I need to be able to O-code them with EQ from Celesteela or HP Fire from Mega Latios and Scizor or even Flamethrower from Celesteela on Scizor if he's running like a specially defensive set. So I click Grass Knot, it does nothing, but this puts him in range of Earthquake, guaranteed, even if he has some bulk. So we're just going to click Earthquake here, gets us a Def Drop, reveals a Life Orb, and we get a kill here with Earthquake, and we get a special attack boost. So a lot happened on that turn. He revealed Life Orb, and we have a special defense drop, and we got a special attack boost, and he knows that we're mixed. But the biggest thing we need to take away from this turn is how Celesteela just absolutely swallowed that Shadow Ball from a Life Orb Gengar. It took 28%. Like, without the special defense drop, that was a clean 4-hit KO from a Gengar. Like, it has base 130 special attack, and it's a 4-hit KO. So Celesteela is a beast. Assault Vest turned out to be a fantastic choice on my part. And at this point, I just have to click super effective moves on the rest of his team. I have Flamethrower for this. At +1, no way he's taking that. And then he goes into Gastrodon. I decide to show off the Giga Drain just because. Might as well get some health back all the way up to full health. And Hippo comes in, and I just click Grass Knot, and we pick up a nice 5-0 win on the back of Celesteela and Delmise, which nobly sacrificed itself to the Guardian Tapu Koko. So good game to Brovile. I thought he brought the right team. I think he had a good combination of offense and bulk. But one of the main reasons I wanted to make this video was to discuss something very important, a lesson that can be learned from this battle. And we were talking about it after the game, and he was like, yeah, I just, pretty much lost once he lost Coco. And looking back, that was kind of true, even more so after he lost Raichu. And the lesson here is evaluating your win conditions. And that's something that every battler, as they're improving, has to learn the hard way. At some point or another, we're all going to get swept by something, either because we had no switch-ins or we had nothing to break it. And in this case, he had neither. But yeah, like, this is a mistake that I've made more than my fair share of times, and everybody has to learn. You have to keep in mind, okay, how am I going to win this game? And the bottom line was, without his electric types, he could not break through Celesteela. And if he can't kill Celesteela, he can't win. So, yeah, I just wanted to spend some time and provide that lesson. I think it's a very important lesson, and it's something that a lot of battlers, like on YouTube that I watch, they talk about it a lot, like, what is my win condition? And his win condition was Coco, and because he lost it turn 4, it made it extremely difficult for him to win. So I'm not trying to be rude or anything. Like, that's a mistake that I've made plenty of times. Just getting swept by stuff, that's a mistake everybody makes. And it would have been incredible foresight on his part to realize on turn 3 when he switched in Coco that, hey, I need this healthy. It's difficult to be thinking about winning the entire game on turn 3, because usually that doesn't happen. But yeah, just a good lesson in evaluating your win conditions. And I told him that after the game. Like, he played well, but he just really needed Coco. So yeah, I hope this was useful, both evaluating win conditions and going about team building. Um, I think I built a really good team for the team that he brought, and it showed. Um, but again, the win condition thing would have really helped him out, and this would have been a much different battle. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy, and um, yeah, have a good one.